Hello and welcome to my channel, Distinctive Crochet. My name is Priscilla and I would like to thank all my new subscribers for coming and checking me out and all my returning subscribers for spending some time with me. Alright everyone, so today we are here for another knitting tutorial, and this is for a basic headband, really easy and quick. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you know about the things we'll be learning. So we will be learning how to cast on, and we're going to be using some straight needles. And we will also be learning the garter stitch. Okay, so the materials that you're going to need is first your yarn. And once you figure out what yarn you would like to use, then you'll have some more information about your materials. So you can use any yarn that you would like. I am using the Lion brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick, and this is the color Mystical. And so the reason you can use any yarn that you would like is because we're going to rely on the information for the label that we're using. So for me, it says that I need a 9mm needle and a 9mm hook, because we are going to be using the needles and then the hook towards the end of the tutorial. So you will need both of those. And also it's going to tell you how many stitches you're going to need to cast on, because we just want to do about 4 inches wide, and it tells you this information is for about 4 inches wide. Okay, so mine tells me I need to cast on 9 stitches. Okay, so once you have those materials gathered, you will also need so you're going to need the needles and the hook for your yarn. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a yarn needle. Okay, so I'm just going to move those out of the way for now. And since we are going to be casting on, we're going to be using the long tail cast on. So in order for us to get a long enough tail to cast on our yarn, we're just going to do an approximate method, and we're just going to take the needle that we're going to be using and leave about an 8 to 10 inch tail to start. And we're just going to place that over top, and then we're going to wrap our yarn. For me, it says I need to do 9 stitches. So however many stitches it tells you on the label, that's how many times you're going to wrap your yarn around your needle. And that will give you an approximate length of yarn that you'll need to cast on. Okay, so this is, I'm just laying it across, and it says I need to do 9 stitches. So I'm just going to wrap it 9 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so now I'm just going to hold it there, and I'm just going to slide that off. So right here is where I want to start my stitching at. So holding it from there, all I'm going to do is just lay that down in my hand, and then now I'm going to take the rest of this yarn coming from the ball of yarn, and wrap it around my neck and hold it in my right hand, just in between my fingers, just how you would tension it up. All right, so let me get that a little bit tighter. Okay, so the yarn is just, the tail of yarn is over top, and then it's tucked in between your index and your middle finger, just like that. And then all you're going to do is just, hold it down like that. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is grab my needle and get ready to cast on. So you're just going to go right into the stitch, or right under the yarn, the loop of yarn that's resting on your index finger, just like that. And then you're going to flick your yarn with your thumb. You're going to bring your needle down and off. Okay, and tighten that down. And that's 1 stitch casted on. Okay, so let's do it again. We need to do this 8 more times. Okay, so I just have, holding it in my hand, I'm just stretching out that index finger. I'm going to go right in under that yarn, flick it with my thumb, bring the needle down and through the loop and off. Tighten it down. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose either. So just a nice even cast on. So now we're just going to go in through that yarn, flick it with our thumb, bring the needle through the loop, and tighten down the stitch. Okay, so this is a real simple cast on, and a lot of patterns use the long tail cast on. So this is a great way to get started with most projects. All right, so I'm just going to keep going just like that. I have 4 more stitches to go, so I'm just going to bring the needle under that loop of yarn, flick my thumb, flick the yarn using my thumb, and then tighten it down. Okay, so I'm just stretching out that index finger, going under the yarn, flicking the yarn with my thumb, and bring that needle through the loop and tighten down. Okay, I gotta do 2 more. All right, so right under there, flick the yarn, bring it through, tighten it down. So this is pretty easy. Once you get used to it, learning something new is always a little bit hard at first, but once you get used to it, you got it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, so I have my 9 stitches, and I'm left with that about 8 to 10 inch tail that I started with. So that is a really good way to estimate how much yarn you will need for a long tail cast on, because you don't really want to cast on half the stitches and then run out of the tail. So that's a good way to get that estimate. Okay, so all we're going to do now is we're just going to turn this needle just like that. So now we have the stitches on the left hand needle. We're going to pick up our second needle with our right hand, and then we're just going to start knitting. Okay, take our right hand needle and go right over to the left side of the stitch, insert our needle, and they're going to be crossed, and the right hand needle is going to be crossed on top of the left hand needle. And I am giving instructions for Portuguese style. If you are used to knitting in another style and you don't want to knit Portuguese, then go ahead and follow the directions for you, but this is how I knit. So for me, my right hand needle needs to be crossed on top. Okay, so now I'm just going to flick the yarn with my thumb, and I'm going to take the needle, the right hand needle, and grab that strand of yarn that I just tucked in between there, push that down, whoops, push it down, see it pop through. So here's the yarn we just flicked with our thumb. I'm going to take that needle, push that through, and then bring that needle up and take that stitch off. Okay, so that loop is the new stitch that we just made. All right, so let's go ahead and do the next one. So bring that needle over to the right, I'm sorry, from the right over to the left side of the stitch. Go ahead and flick our yarn. Use our right hand needle to push that yarn through that loop and bring it off our needle. Okay, so that is all you're doing for the knit stitch. And this is the only stitch that we're going to be doing today, is just knitting. And we're just going to keep doing that all the way across our row. So however many stitches you have, go ahead and do that for each stitch all the way across the row. And then once I have mine done, I will show you what to do next. I just have a couple more to go here. So, oops. Alright, so I just have one more to go. Okay, so now that is off the needle, so all I'm going to do now is just turn my work. So now the stitches are back on the left side or left needle. It's got a little twisted here. Let me just untwist that. Okay, there. Okay, so now we're on the reverse side, and this is what the stitches are looking like here. You can see these little bumps. Those are purl bumps because when you knit, you get a V-like stitch that comes off on the correct side of the work, but on the back side you get these purl bumps. Okay, and this is what is going to create our garter stitch. So we'll have a row of the V's, and then we'll have a row of the purl bumps, because now we're getting ready to knit on this side, which means we're going to have purl bumps that come up on this side. Okay, and as you work a few rows, you might start to notice that a little bit better. So all we're going to do now is just we're going to go right into that very first stitch. And the first stitch can be a little difficult at times. So you just want to, you can use your index finger on your right hand to push that down a little bit so you're getting into the top of the stitch or right on top. And you're just going to flick your yarn and push that loop through and bring it off. Okay, so you're just going to keep doing that for each row until you get to the length that you need for your size. So I will go ahead and put those on the screen so that you can see the sizes that you will need. All you're going to do is measure it with a measuring tape from the needle that you have. So then I will come back and show you guys what we're going to do next to finish off this headband. Okay, so pretty much all you're going to do is just keep knitting your stitches all the way across, and once you get to the last stitch and all the stitches are on the one needle, you're just going to take that needle and turn it, and then you're just going to start knitting on the opposite side. You're just going to keep knitting, okay, for every row. So just knit, 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 knit. And we're not going to count the rows, we're just going to measure. So I apologize for not mentioning that earlier. I'll type it on the screen for the material section. But you will need a measuring tape so that you can measure the length. Okay. So, yeah, so now you can see those purl bumps on that side, and right underneath you have that little V there. So the V is like the knit stitch and these are the purls. But if we look on this side, you have the same thing. And that's what the garter stitch looks like. So it's very kind of squishy and it's a really fun texture and a beautiful stitch. So and then I will meet you all back with instructions on what you need to do next to finish your headband. Okay, so that is what it's looking like so far. So this is a really pretty stitch, and there's the back side of it. But pretty soon you might not be able to tell the front and back side. So if you wanted to, you could put a stitch marker or something just to mark the front. But it's not really necessary because with garter stitch, the front and the back pretty much looks the same. Okay, so what all we're going to do is we're just going to keep knitting until we get to the length that we need, and then I'll meet you guys back to show you how to finish off the headband. All right, I'll be right back. All right, everyone, and I made it back. So I have my length here. I actually stopped at 18 inches. I wrapped it around my head, and it felt snug without being too snug. This does have a nice stretch on it, so it is really good for a headband. But you don't want to make it exactly to fit. You want to be a little bit small so that it can have a snug fit. So I went ahead and stopped at 18, and you can do that as well. Instead of using a measuring tape, you can just wrap it around your head and see how it fits. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to grab our 9mm, well, for me it's a 9mm crochet hook, but whatever hook corresponds to your yarn, go ahead and grab that. And I'm just going to go ahead and tension up my yarn again, and we are going to bind these stitches off, and we're going to bind them off using our crochet hook. So all I'm going to do is just use my crochet hook as if I'm knitting this first stitch. So I'm just going to go right in on the left side of the stitch, cross it on top, flick my yarn, bring that down and off. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and knit the second stitch as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit that second stitch. And now that I have both of those stitches on my needle, it's almost like as if I was doing a single crochet. You have 2 stitches on your crochet hook, and then all you have to do is yarn over and pull through 2. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to yarn or yarn over and pull through 2 to finish that off. Okay, and now that live stitch is completely secure, so that's all I'm going to do is I'm just going to knit the next stitch using my crochet hook so that I have 2 loops on my hook, and then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through 2 as if I was doing a crochet single crochet. I'm just going to keep doing that for each stitch that I have across, and that will seal our stitches, binding them off so that they are nice and secure. Oops. Just pick that back up. There we go. Okay. Let's see if I can. Uh-oh. There we go. Bring these stitches up a little bit. So I'm just doing that for each stitch all the way across. And that gives you a really nice edge. So I'm just gonna go in there as if I'm knitting. Flick my yarn, bring that down and off, and yarn over and pull through 2. Alright, so here is my last one. Oops. Okay, so I can put my needle down, and now I have all of those stitches secured, bound off, and it gives you a really, really pretty edge to finish. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to join our headband. So I'm going to be crocheting now, so I don't have to have this around my neck. I'm just going to hold the yarn as if I'm crocheting. Alright, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to make 5 chains. I'm just going to chain up 5. 1, oops, my yarn's on that needle. So I'm just going to make 5 chains. I did, how many did I do? Did I do 1 or 2? Okay, I just did 1. So make 5 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm just going to slip stitch to join on the other side of the headband. And you can go through the back loop or both loops however you like. I'm just going through 1 loop on mine. And then I'm just going to find the next loop down. I'm going to slip stitch there, and then I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to turn my work so that I can slip stitch on this side now, and I'm just going to skip one of those loops down and slip stitch to join on this side, just like that. And now I'm going to come to this next one and slip stitch down 1 and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5, and then I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch on this side. So I'm just going to skip over a stitch here. Alright, and slip stitch in the next one. And now I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to slip stitch in this one. Oops. Okay, and then I'm just going to slip stitch down, and then this will be my last one. So I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to slip stitch over on this side. Now, if you are using a thinner weight yarn and you feel like you need to chain more, you can go ahead and do that. I am using the thicker, bulky yarn, so that is enough for me. And this is what it looks like so far. So You could leave it like that if you wanted to. That is really, really cute. But what I was going to do is just, I'm going to cut a length of yarn and then wrap it around the center so that it brings it in like that. So it's up to you. You could leave it like that. That's pretty cute. Or you can cut a length of yarn and then wrap it around and secure it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. You don't need too much, maybe just a nice little length so that you can have enough to wrap and enough to sew in as well. So I think that's about 18 inches to 24 inches, probably 24 inches. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull this through to fasten off. Okay, tighten that down. And now all I'm just going to do is, actually I want to bring this to the center. So let me get my yarn needle. I don't know if this is going to be, I don't think this is going to be, I don't have my yarn needle big enough. So I'm just going to use this crochet hook and bring it through. Okay. Alright, so now I have it more in the center. And then I'm just going to wrap this down like this. And I'm just going to keep wrapping right in the middle. So let me just keep wrapping. And you can get it as much as you like. If you feel like that's enough, you can stop whenever you feel like you have enough and just secure it down. I think I'm going to go a couple more on this side to thicken it up on that side. Okay, so maybe one more. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You can just keep going as much as you like. So now all I'm going to do is sew this end in. I have to go get my correct yarn needle. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew this in as well as the other beginning tail. And then once I have that all sewn up, I'll have this simple, easy, quick garter stitch headband. So thank you so much for coming along with me and making this quick, cute headband and learning some new techniques in knitting as well. So I really appreciate you guys coming along with me, and I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please leave some comments down below and tell me what you think, if this was helpful for you, and if you like the end result of the headband. And thanks again for watching, and please go ahead and hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a great day.